Who was Ayn Rand? Who was Taylor Caldwell? Why does any of this matter when it comes to novels and/or politics? Well, both were famous, prolific American writers that were both right-wingers that wrote a lot of novels from the 30s up until about the 1980s in this nation. They both wrote political conspiracy novels, in my opinion. They both mixed romance within their plots and dramas. Basically, they were both famous novelists. In this video, I'm going to show you why I think Taylor Caldwell wrote better plots. And it's not because Taylor Caldwell was more famous than Ayn Rand and more popular and did actually end up selling a lot more books than Rand did. It's not because of that. In this video, I'm going to refer to my long outline that has a lot of information in it, and I'm going to show you why I think Taylor Caldwell actually wrote better plots and therefore created better concepts within those plots. So here we go. So who was Taylor Caldwell? Well, she wrote a lot of books just like Ayn Rand did about conspiracies, but I think the concept of Caldwell's books are actually better in my opinion. I don't agree with all of the views of either one of these people. They were far right wingers. They were basically something akin to a Goldwater Republican at the time. I personally am more of a moderate independent populist. I consider myself an independent. So I don't agree with all the views of either one of these people. But I do think that Caldwell's conclusions in her novels of how the world actually works was a lot better than Rand. Even though both were right-wingers politically, Caldwell actually looked at the downside of the capitalist system, which is quite shocking for a far right-winger at the time politically. Most of Taylor's novels revolve around the idea that a small faction of men, globalists, control the world through financial control in the media. According to Caldwell, wars are basically businesses. I read all of the really well-known Taylor Caldwell novels. I read 4 of them. I read Captains and the Kings, which in my view is a composite of the JFK murder, the Kennedys, and the Rockefellers. It is her shining masterpiece. It's one of the best novels I ever read. It's her best book. I also read Dynasty of Death about war profiteering, Ceremony of the Innocent, and The Beautiful Has Vanished, aka The Balance Wheel. The world can be cruel and a lot of our lives can be controlled by the rich. Caldwell ran in a lot of these circles and she knew a lot of these people. In my view, she was writing fact as fiction to a certain degree. That's really what she was doing. She ran in a lot of those circles, and therefore because of that, the novels are even more interesting. In this section, I'm going to talk heavily about the issue I have with Ayn Rand's ideas. The issue that I have with Rand is that she is ruthless to the point of being naive in her books. She doesn't totally understand power. Rich people can control U.S. society in all kinds of different ways. They can control the world. Caldwell understood that both the state and the rich can have too much power. Both can be true simultaneously. Both can be very, very true when it comes to world politics. Whereas Rand focused more on the state, tons of money can equal tons of economic power. Caldwell also showed that money and inherited wealth mass against the individual in her novels. Caldwell showed a subtext of public morality in her books, which I think is similar to RFK at the time. Whereas Rand dismissed this as altruism and collectivism, Caldwell also showed that the rich can set up collectivism at the global level. Caldwell was a Catholic, Ayn Rand was an atheist, which I think contributes to the fact that Ayn Rand's books are totally devoid of any morality whatsoever. Caldwell goes in the opposite direction even though she was a far right winger. She goes as far in her novels to say that some rich people can be dictators or think like communists. Some of the characters were even communists. Taylor Caldwell had intellectual balance in her novels. In Rand's novels, the rich are always idyllic, perfect characters. Therefore, they're perfect people, which is not reality. Rand also discounts or never analyzes the power of the Fed, the globalists, or inherited wealth in her novels. The novels are written in an intellectual vacuum where people can become rich by just possessing good looks and self-confidence. Rand never really analyzes the deep state. Rand doesn't completely understand power. The CIA is never analyzed in any of these books. Another thing Rand overlooked is that many rich people control our government. What, do you believe that at the federal level rich people give tons of money to political campaigns for their health? I seriously doubt it. She doubts the power of oligarchy in her novels. All entities of power can have way too much power, and Taylor Caldwell understood that. Rand does not have that in her books. Rand's books are not entirely reality, in my opinion. I do like both as writers, but I think Taylor Caldwell had a knack for figuring out in her novels how the world actually operates. She shows social balance in her novels, that all entities of power can have too much power. Therefore, I think Taylor Caldwell's plots within these books are a lot better than Ayn Rand's. Once again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration. I will see you again next week. It's free to subscribe.